Welcome back. In our masterclass part 1, we exposed the invisible architecture. We looked at how your identity was gaslit and your mind was silently installed with someone else's operating system. You now know you were hacked, but awareness is only the first step. Today, in part 2 of this masterclass, we execute the uninstall protocol, uninstalling of other person's mindset in your mind that we are uninstalling. To remove the malicious code, we must first look at the exact subtle moments the breach occurred so you never miss them again. Wait, don't scroll. You have no idea how many of your thoughts today were not actually yours. That panic when someone takes too long to reply. That guilt when you say no. That voice that whispers, you are too much. Tone it down. What if those weren't random feelings, but installed reactions? Because in this, you are not just going to see how they control people in general. You are going to see how they quietly reprogrammed you to doubt your own mind, to betray your own needs, and to behave exactly the way that keeps them in power. Stay until the end, and you will walk away with a simple mental ritual that breaks their script and starts rewriting your own. Let us start with a disturbing truth. Every manipulator, every toxic partner, every controlling system has the same secret goal, not to win the argument, but to write your role. Because once they decide who you are, they don't have to control your every move. You will do it automatically for them. Think about it. The overreacting one will keep apologizing for being hurt. The clingy one will feel guilty for wanting connection. The selfish one will overgive until they are empty. You think you are just like that, but somewhere in your life, someone handed you that costume and said, wear this or lose me. That is the invisible contract. You never signed it with a pen. You signed it with your silence. Here is what your brain actually remembers when you say, this is just who I am. Not the day you were born, not your DNA. It remembers the day your nervous system was trained. Picture this. You were honest. You said, that hurt me. They rolled their eyes, called you dramatic, pulled away, stonewalled you. Your body went into panic, heart racing, stomach tight, mind spinning. What did I do wrong? In that moment, your brain created a new rule. Speaking my truth, danger. That equals danger. Staying quiet, that is better, that is safety. From then on, you didn't just decide to stay quiet. Your nervous system began shutting you down before you even had a chance to speak. That is not overthinking. That is conditioning you. It is not that you are weak. It is that your survival system learned to protect you by betraying you. Understand? It is protecting you by betraying you. Think of YouTube's algorithm for a second. Just remember that. It doesn't push what is accurate. It pushes what keeps you watching. Now realize this. Your brain has an algorithm too. It doesn't focus on what is healthy. It focuses on what feels familiar. So if you have spent years feeling unworthy, anxious, not enough, your inner algorithm will recommend situations that match, partners who give mixed signals, jobs that underpay you, Friends who only call when they need something. Not because you like suffering, but because your nervous system says, oh, this feels like home. High-level manipulators know this. They don't just control one situation. They train your inner algorithm so it keeps looping you back to the same story even when they are gone. Want to know how easy it is to rewrite a human being? It often takes just 3 types of phrases repeated at the right moments. First phrase is, you always, you never, you always overreact. You never understand. You always make it about you. These phrases don't describe a moment. They label you in your entire character. Your brain hears a verdict, not feedback. Now the second phrase. No one else has a problem with this, only you. Translation. Your reality is wrong. The group is right. Now you are not just questioning your feelings. You are afraid of being the outsider. Now the third phase. You are lucky You are lucky I stayed. You are lucky I talked to you. You are lucky I tolerate this. This turns basic respect into something you must earn. Suddenly, your standards collapse. You cling to the bare minimum as if it's a blessing. These phrases sound casual, but over time, they become the code your identity runs on. Now the fifth segment. The uninstall exercise is a high retention action. Be very concentrate. You concentrate here. Very attentive. Do this with me right now. No later. Not one day. Now. Grab your phone's notes or a piece of paper. Write this at the top. The version of me they built. Under it, list 3 sentences you have believed. The first sentence, you write, am always the problem. The second sentence you write, am too sensitive. The third sentence you write, if I speak, people leave. Now underneath each one, write this. You may just look into screen to avoid any missing in the sentence. They needed me to believe this so that I would fill up the blanks. Fill it in. Then continue. So that I would stop calling out their behavior. Or so that I would apologize for having emotions. Or so that I would shrink myself to keep them comfortable. Look at that. You just shifted from something is wrong with me to someone needed me small. That is not a small mindset shift. That is the first crack in the wall around your life. Okay, next segment. That is sixth segment. It is installing your new core identity. That is what we are going to hear. Now we go deeper. Because dark psychology didn't just give you thoughts. It gave you a role. And the only way to fully walk out of it is to choose a new role on purpose. Here is a new role for you. It is not hearing or reading or writing something. At the bottom of you page, right, the version of me I am building. Now you are building yourself from the past. Now answer this slowly. First, if I wasn't trying to keep everyone happy, what kind of person would I naturally be? The future you are building. Second, if I knew I wouldn't be abandoned for having standards, what would my standards be? Written? Then the third. If my younger self was watching me right now, what would I want them to see? Turn your answers into identity statements. Just like, I am the kind of person who listens to my nervous system instead of gaslighting it. Or, you write, I am the kind of person who would rather disappoint others than betray myself. Or write, I am the kind of person who upgrades my life every time I earn the truth, not just when it is comfortable. Then, Read them out aloud. Yes, out aloud. Out loud. Because the old identity was installed through repetition and sound. Your new identity needs the same. Now the seventh segment, that is your mind's algorithm and binge loop. Think of YouTube's algorithm for a second. It doesn't push what is good for you. It pushes what you have watched repeatedly. Your brain does the same thing with your self-image. If you have spent years watching the same inner movie where you are the problem, the disappointment, here is a backup plan. Your mind will keep recommending the same kind of partner, the same kind of job, the same kind of friendships. Not because that's all you deserve, but because your inner algorithm thinks that what you want. What you want. Next is where you break that loop. By feeding your mind a new identity again and again until your recommended life starts to look different. New boundaries, new standards, new decisions. That is how real control ends. Not with a dramatic speech, but with 1,000 tiny choices that all agree on one thing. I am no longer available for a life that requires me to betray myself. Now we are coming to the final segment. It's a call to power. It's a power to you. How to get you the power. If you're still watching this, you are not here by accident. It means there is a part of you that's done being the character they wrote. So here is what to do next. First, go to the comments. Then write one sentence. The sentence should be, the old program I am installing is, the old program I am uninstalling is, dash. You fill up there. Then fill it with brutal honesty. That is your line in the sand. That is you choosing who you will be in this next chapter. If this hit you harder than you expected, don't let it be just another video. Hit subscribe right now. Turn on all your notifications and stay with this series. Because the next part is not going to be gentle. In the next video, you are going to learn the exact phrases, tones, and conversations and patterns that manipulators, narcissists, and even powerful marketers use to slip past your logic and into your subconscious. Yes, to your subconscious mind. So you can spot them in real time and shut them down on the spot. On the spot. Today you saw the version of you they built. Next, I will build the version they can't control. And from that moment on, you won't just be hard to manipulate. You will be the one person in the room who sees exactly how the game is played and refuses to play it. Is it interesting? You can see how they are playing the game and you can understand it and you are escaping from it. Now the deconstruction. Analyzing the enemy. You now see the subtlety of the breach. It didn't happen with a shout. It happened in a whisper. To ensure this never happens again, we need to take the Puppet Master's playbook we touched on in our part 1 of the masterclass and dissect it with new eyes. Not as victims, but as psychological architects. Earlier we dissected it as victims. Now we are going to dissect it as psychological architects. Watch how these specific tactics rely entirely on your blind spots. Before this video goes 1 second further, remember the last argument that left you confused. You walked away thinking, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I really am too sensitive. Maybe I did overreact. What if that wasn't an argument, but a script? Earlier parts exposed the manipulation and identity programming. This part of video reveals the exact phrases and conversation patterns manipulators use in real time, so viewers can spot and shut them down instantly. In this part, you are going to hear the exact sentences narcissists, toxic partners, and even manipulative marketers use to push your buttons, erase your reality, and make you obey while thinking it was your idea. If you have ever replayed a conversation in your head for hours, wondering how they turned everything around on you, stay till the end of this video. Because once you recognize these lines, you will never hear them the same way again. Now the segment 1. That is first segment, why words are their favorite weapon. Manipulators love one thing more than power: plausible deniability. They don't want obvious control. They want you to look in the mirror and say, it's my fault. That's why they use words, not chains. Words can rewrite history, shift blame, trigger your deepest insecurity, make you doubt what you know you felt. And the most dangerous part, most of the phrases they use sound normal. They sound like, I'm just being honest, you took it the wrong way, I didn't mean it like that. But hidden inside those words are psychological landmines designed to keep you under control. Now the second segment, script 1, the reality eraser. The first pattern is something every gaslighter uses, the reality eraser. You say, that hurt me. They answer with, that never happened. You are imagining things. You are twisting my words. You always remember things wrong. Their goal is simple. If they can make you doubt your own memory, they never have to take responsibility. Over time, you start thinking, maybe I shouldn't bring this up. Maybe I really am overthinking. And that is a win for them. Because a person who doubts their own mind is the easiest person in the world to control. Now the third segment, script number 2, the character assassination. Next comes the character assassination. You bring them a specific situation. They respond by attacking your identity. You say, when you cancelled last minute, I felt disrespected. They say, you are so needy. You are never satisfied. You always have something to complain about. Notice what happened. You talked about behavior. They redirected to your character. Why? Because if they make you believe that who you are is the real problem, you stop criticizing what they do. You start fixing yourself instead. You read more books. You go to therapy. You apologize. Meanwhile, they keep their behavior exactly the same. Perfect control. Zero effort. Now the fourth segment, script 3, the isolation spell. The third pattern is one of the darkest, the isolation spell. Anytime you bring an issue, they widen the attack. Everyone thinks you are like this. They are just too polite to say it. No wonder your ex left you. Even your family says you are hard to deal with. In one sentence, they do 3 things. 1, make you feel outnumbered. 2, make you doubt your own perception. 3, make them look like the only person honest enough to tell you the truth. And when one person positions themselves as your only truth teller, your only honest voice, they have you. Because now your self-worth depends on their approval. Now the fifth segment, that is script number 4, the guilt switch. The fourth script is the guilt switch. You try to talk about your pain. They flip it. You say, I felt abandoned when you disappeared. They reply, whoa, after everything I do for you, I guess nothing I do is ever enough. You are so ungrateful. Suddenly you are not the one who is hurt. You are the villain. Your brain goes into overdrive. I didn't mean to be ungrateful. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. So instead of them fixing their behavior, you rush to fix yourself for daring to be honest. That is the guilt switch. And it is one of the fastest ways to train a person to stay silent forever. Now come to the sixth segment. Script number 5, the future hook. There is another one you might not recognize yet. The future hook. This is where they calm your doubts with the promises of a better future that never arrives. You say, things have to change. They say, once this busy period is over, I will focus on us. Next month, I will fix it. I promise. Just be patient with me a little longer. Your brain hears hope. Your body stays in pain. You keep waiting for a version of them that shows up only in words, never in actions. And every time you think of leaving, you remember the promises and you feel guilty for giving up too soon. That is not hope. That is a leash made of future tense sentences. Next is segment 7. How puppet masters stack these scripts. Here is where it gets truly sinister. They don't use these lines alone. They stack them. You bring a concern. First, they erase your reality. That never happened. Then they attack your character. You are so dramatic. Then they isolate you. Everyone else handles this fine, except you. Finally, they hook you with the future. I will change, just give me time. By the end of the conversation, your memory is blurred. Your identity feels attacked. You feel alone in your perspective. And you are clinging to a promise instead of facing the pattern. That is not a miscommunication. That is a playbook. So, how do you break out without screaming, explaining, or begging? You use questions that their script was never designed to handle. Question 1, what exactly did I say or do that you are reacting to right now? This pulls the conversation back to specifics instead of your entire character. Next question, can you repeat back what you heard me say in your own words? This forces them to show whether they are actually listening or just attacking. Next question, what would change in your behavior after this conversation? If they can't answer, you know it is not a discussion. It is damage control. You don't have to argue. You don't have to convince. You just have to see clearly. Because the moment you see the script, you stop being inside it and start watching it from the outside. That shift from actor to observer is where your power begins. Next, the record and review method. Here is a practical tool for when your head is spinning after a conversation. No, you don't need them in the room. You just need your memory and your notes app. Notes app is in your phone. Right after a confusing argument, write down the exact sentences that stuck with you. How you felt before the conversation. How you felt after the conversation. Then look for these signs. Did you start confident and ashamed? Did you come with the facts and leave with labels like dramatic, selfish, crazy? Did the conversation end with a vague promise instead of a concrete change? If yes, you weren't too emotional. You walked into a script designed to drain your reality and feed their control. If you recognized even one of these lines from your life, write this in the comments right below. Now, I see the script now. Because the moment you can name it, you realize it, you write it, you can no longer pretend it is normal. If you are serious about it, you are never being emotionally played again, hit subscribe here because you can learn more in the coming videos. Turn on all notifications and stay with this series. This channel isn't here just to entertain you with the dark psychology. It's here to give you language, awareness and real world tools that the average person never learns. In the next part, we are going even deeper into this self-manipulation you do to yourself after years of this programming. How you gaslight your own feelings, how you silence your own intuition, how you become your own puppet master without realizing it. So that you don't just escape manipulative people, you stop continuing their work inside your own head. You have seen the playbook of puppet masters here. Next, you will learn how to shut the theater down from the inside. Subscribe, comment, I see the script now below. And remember, the most dangerous person to manipulate is not the loudest one, but the one who quietly learns exactly how their game works and refuses to play it ever again. Yes, now the core defense, building the fortress for you. You see the bridge, you know their playbook. Now we build the fortress. A manipulator cannot operate where there is no access. You are about to construct a 5-level psychological firewall. This isn't about ignoring toxic people. This is about becoming fundamentally immune to them. Grab a pen. This is your blueprint for absolute psychological sovereignty. Listen very carefully. Your mind has been attacked by parents, partners, friends, neighbors, bosses, marketers, and finally by you. But there is one part of the story you haven't lived yet. The part where your brain stops being a battlefield and becomes a fortress. In this part, you are going to learn how to build a psychological firewall for you so that you can spot manipulation in under 10 seconds. You can feel your body's no before your brain makes excuses. You can walk into any room without shrinking, bending or performing. If you stay till the end, you won't just understand dark psychology. You will become that rare kind of a person who is calm, unbothered and almost impossible to control. So far, we exposed external control and self-manipulation. Now, let us learn how to build a mental defense system so strong that future manipulation attempts bounce off. First of all, what a psychological firewall really is. Most people think being strong means never getting hurt, never doubting, never getting triggered. That's not strength. That's numbness. A psychological firewall is not about shutting feelings off. It's about building a system inside you that can detect when something is off, slow down your reactions, check reality before your trauma writes the story. Think of your mind like a computer. Right now, any website, any message, any person can run code on it. A look, a sentence, a notification, and suddenly you are spiraling. A firewall doesn't stop the internet. It filters what gets in. That's what you are going to build for your psychology. Now, level 1. Body awareness. That is your first alarm. The first level of your firewall is not your thoughts. It's your body. Before your brain forms a sentence, your nervous system has already reacted. But you were never trained to listen. Here is what to watch for any conversation, text or situation. sudden tightness in your chest or throat, a sinking feeling in your stomach, a rush of heat or cold for no logical reason, feeling confused or foggy when things should be simple. These are not overreactions, these are alarms. From now on, when you notice one of these signals, you don't ignore it. You silently say to yourself, something in this interaction is not safe for me. You don't have to know why yet. You just have to trust that your body is picking up what your brain doesn't or hasn't processed. That one sentence buys you time. And time is the enemy of manipulation. Understand? Time is the enemy of manipulation. Now the level 2. That is the 10-second pause rule. Once your body alarm goes off, you activate level 2. The 10-second pause. Manipulators survive on your automatic reactions, your quick apology, your instant explanation, your promise to change. So, your new rule is this. Whenever you feel activated, you buy yourself 10 seconds before you respond. In those 10 seconds, you ask 3 questions in your head. 1. What did they actually say? Not what I am afraid they meant. Second, what am I feeling in my body right now? Third, do I have to respond immediately? Most of the time, the honest answer to question number 3 is a no. You can say, let me think about that. I will reply later. I need a moment. To a manipulator, this is terrifying because now their favorite weapon, your impulsive reaction, has been taken away. Now level 3, the reality checklist. Level 3 of your firewall is a simple but brutal reality checklist you apply to any interaction that leaves you confused. Right after the call, text or argument, sit with these 3 questions. First question, before this conversation, how did I feel about myself? Second question, after this conversation, how do I feel about myself? And third question, did we talk more about my character than the actual situation? If you went from calm to ashamed, from clear to confused, from discussing facts to defending your personality, you weren't just chatting. You were being handled. Your firewall's job is not to win every debate. It is to detect when a debate is actually a control strategy. Now level 4. Non-negotiable boundaries. A firewall is only as strong as the rules you set. So now you choose your non-negotiables first. Not a long list, not 50 affirmations, just 3 or 4 clear lines that you no longer cross against yourself. Examples I can give you. I do not explain the same boundary more than twice. I do not stay in conversations where I am being insulted, mocked, or called names. I do not argue with people who attack my character instead of addressing the issue, the real issue. Write your 3 rules. Say them out loud, maybe several times, 10 times. Because the moment you turn them into language, they stop being argued or they stop being vague, vicious, and start becoming part of your identity. And remember, a manipulator's power depends on your willingness to keep crossing your own lines. Now level 5. You remember that always, as I earlier told you in earlier videos, while writing you take a white paper, clean white paper, and use black gel ink. Okay. Next, level 5, identity lock. This is who I am now. The highest level of your firewall is identity. You can learn every tactic in the world. But if deep down you still believe I am difficult, I am too much, I am hard to love, you will unconsciously allow behavior that matches that story. So your final layer is an identity lock. A short list of I am statements that define the kind of person you are choosing to be from now on. Not cheesy, Not fake, accurate, strong, and grounded. Examples I can give you. For example, I am the kind of person who believes my body when it says something is off. I am the kind of person who can walk away from disrespect even when I still care. I am the kind of person who would rather be alone than controlled. You repeat these not to hypnotize yourself, but to remind your nervous system what normal is now. Because if you don't define normal, your past will. Now here is a test. Handling real-time manipulation attempts. How to handle real-time manipulation attempts on you. Let us put your firewall to the test in real scenarios. Imagine someone says, "Whoa, you are really overreacting right now." Level 1, body alarm. Your chest tightens. Level 2, 10-second pause. You breathe. You don't defend yourself immediately. Level 3, reality check in your head. Did I state a feeling or attack them? If you simply express a boundary, you calmly respond with, "I am not overreacting. I am sharing how this affected me." If you can't respect that, we can pause this conversation. Or you simply say, "I am not going to continue this right now." And you leave. Another scenario. They say, "Everyone else is fine with this. Only you have a problem." Your firewall responds like this. Body alarm. First one. That twist in your stomach. 10-second response. You resist the urge to prove yourself. Identity lock. I am the kind of person who trusts my perspective even if I stand alone. You answer. Then they can be fine with it. I am not. Short. Clear. No essay. Simple sentence. Small. Your firewall is not about convincing them. It is about protecting you. Yes, of course. It is about protecting you. And finally, if you felt something in your body while watching this, a yes, a relief, or even a fear, it means your system knows this is the upgrade you have been needing. So here is your challenge. First, in the comments, write your 3 firewall rules starting with, "From today I do not ... Fill up your yourself. Second, then add one identity lock. I am the kind of person who ... You may fill up that. This isn't just engagement. This is you installing the new system in public. If you are done being the easiest person in the room to emotionally push around, hit subscribe right now. Turn on all notifications and stay with this series. Because in the next video, we are taking this to a whole new level. From defending yourself to quietly reading other people's patterns like an open book. You will learn subtle micro expressions and tone shifts that reveal intention. How to predict behavior based on the first 10 minutes of meeting someone. How to build relationships where mind games simply cannot survive. You are not here to live life paranoid. You are here to live life prepared. Comment your firewall rules, subscribe, and remember, the most powerful mind is not the one that never gets touched. It is the one that knows exactly what to let in and what to block before it ever reaches the heart. Yeah, now the counter maneuver. Reclaiming territory. Your firewall is now active. Your body and mind are secure. But a shield alone won't win the war. When a manipulator hits your new boundaries, they will push back. They will try to find a back door. It's time to move from defense to counter offense. Here is how you neutralize their resistance and reclaim the territory they stole from you. Pause. Think about the last person who ended up being completely different from who you thought they were. At first, they seemed perfect. Then slowly, the mask slipped. What if you could have seen it in the first week, the first day, in the first 10 minutes? In this part, you are going to learn how to read people like lines of code so that you can spot hidden entitlement, manipulation patterns, emotional danger signs. Not months later when you are already attached, but right at the beginning. If you stay with this till the end, you won't just feel safer. You will walk into every room with the quiet confidence of someone who can see what everyone else keeps missing.
Let's destroy a lie first. You didn't miss the signs. Because you're stupid. You missed them. Because you were trained to doubt your instincts. Think back. You felt something was off. Your body tightened. Your mind whispered, this doesn't feel right. But then came the overrides. Don't be judgmental. Give them a chance. Maybe it's just your anxiety. You weren't blind. You were conditioned to close your eyes. Part 6 is where we reopen them. Not with paranoia, but with pattern recognition. You don't need supernatural powers to read people. You just need to watch 3 specific layers. 1. Words, what they say. 2. Patterns, what they consistently do. 3. Impact, how your body feels around them. Most people only look at words. That's why they get played. Words are the easiest thing to fake. A manipulator can sound humble. A narcissist can sound self-aware. A liar can sound brutally honest. So from now on, you don't take anyone's words as final truth. You treat them as a trailer. The actual movie is their patterns and your nervous system. If you only remember one thing from this video, let it be this. The fastest way to read someone's true character is to watch how they handle the word no. Say no to something small. No, I can't call right now. No, I don't want to rush this. No, that joke made me uncomfortable. Now watch. Do they respect it quickly? Negotiate calmly? Or pressure, guilt, sulk, or explode? Manipulators reveal themselves. Not when you're pleasing them, but when you stop. If a simple boundary turns them into a victim, a prosecutor, or a cold stranger, you just saw their real script. Believe it. Second pattern. How do they respond? When you are genuinely hurt, you're not attacking. You're not accusing. You're just saying, when that happened, I felt really hurt. Do they lean in and ask questions? Acknowledge your experience. Even if they see it differently. Take some level of responsibility. Or at least care about the impact. Or do they immediately defend their image? Say you're too sensitive. Turn it into a debate about how wrong your feelings are. Here's the truth. No one teaches you. You don't need someone who never makes mistakes. You need someone whose ego doesn't explode every time you feel pain. If your feelings are always treated as an accusation, You're not in a relationship. You're in a public relations campaign. The third pattern is what dark psychology creators call the entitlement leak. It shows up in tiny ways, like how they treat waiters and service staff, how they talk about exes and past friends, how they react when life tells them no. Listen for sentences like, "I deserve better than these idiots. They're all crazy, I was always the victim. Do they know who I am?" At first, this might sound confident. But there's a difference between confidence and entitlement. Confidence says, "I'm worthy too." Entitlement says, "I'm more worthy than you." If they constantly place themselves above everyone else, don't be shocked when one day you become everyone else. Now, let's turn this into something you can actually use in real time. When you meet someone new, or feel uncertain about someone old, run this quick 3-question scan. In your head. 1. How does my body feel around them? Safe, tense, or on edge? 2. Do their actions match their words? Over time? Or do I live on promises? 3. Do I feel more like myself with them? Or only when they're gone? If your body is tense, their actions don't match, and you feel most free when they're not there. You don't need a 10-page analysis. Your radar is working. Your job is to stop muting it. Here is the part where most people get stuck. They finally see the pattern. And then they explain it, debate it, try to fix the other person. That's not reading patterns. That's volunteering for extra episodes of the same show. When you see a red pattern, you don't owe anyone a TED Talk. You simply adjust your behavior. You share less sensitive information. You stop justifying your boundaries. You limit your access and availability. In some cases, you slowly exit. You don't need them to agree with your perception for it to be valid. Your life is not a courtroom. It is your house. You decide who gets to stay inside. The most powerful upgrade you can give yourself is to stop being only the main character in your life, and start also being the observer. The observer sits slightly above the moment and notices, "Interesting, my chest just tightened when they joked about that. Interesting, they smiled when I talked about my insecurity. Interesting, they're kind when they need something, and distant when they don't." You're not overanalyzing. You're collecting data. Dark psychology is often about patterns repeated over time. The observer inside you stops turning every red flag into a personal flaw and starts filing it under useful information for my next decision.
If this episode made old conversations replay in your mind, that is not a sign you are going backwards. It's a sign your brain is re-tagging memories with new labels. Not "I was stupid, but I was under-trained." No, you are training. Here is your challenge. If you want this video to actually change your life, first, in the comments, write one pattern you now see clearly in someone. The pattern I can see now is ... You fill it out. Second, then write one rule you are giving your future self. Alright, in your notes. Next time I see this pattern, I will ... You fill it up. This isn't just engagement. It is your nervous system forming new instructions. If you are done walking blindly into the same traps, hit subscribe. Turn on all notifications and stay with this series, because in the next part we are taking everything to a sharper edge. How to project a calm, unshakable energy so manipulators lose interest in you. How to build relationships that amplify your mind instead of controlling it. And how to become the person whose presence alone changes the psychology of any room. You can learn it. Now you have learned how they control you, how you control yourself, how to build a firewall, and how to read patterns. Next, you will learn how to live not as a survivor of manipulation, but as someone who quietly bends reality with clarity. What is reality with clarity, boundaries, and a mind that finally belongs to you? Comment your pattern. Comment your rule. Subscribe, and remember, the moment you start reading people instead of romanticizing them, your life stops being a tragedy of red flags ignored and starts becoming a strategy of red flags observed, respected, and walked away from. Here is a deep programming, that is deep reprogramming for elite immunity. Once you flip the dynamic, you will notice something fascinating. The people who used to control you will start to look panicked. Their old tools no longer work. But to maintain this power, you must rewire your underlying psychology so you never backslide. We are upgrading your internal operating system to elite level immunity now onwards. Stop. Look around the room you are in. Every decision that built this life, who you love, what you tolerate, how you talk to yourself, was made by a version of you that existed before this video. What if that version of you was trained to be small, easy to control, easy to guilt, easy to silence? In this part, you are not just going to learn how they control you. You are going to watch that old programmable version of you. That old programmable version of you die and a new uncontrollable identity take its place. If you stay till the end, you will walk out of this video with a sentence in your mind so powerful that every manipulator, every guilt trip, every old pattern will have to answer to it. Thank you.
Let's be honest. There is an older version of you that cannot come into the next chapter. This is the you who apologizes for breathing too loud, sends 3 texts explaining a no, replays conversations for hours, wondering how to make everyone like you. That version of you was not born. It was engineered by families that needed you compliant, partners that needed you insecure, systems that needed you exhausted and obedient. In dark psychology, this is called a constructed self. An identity built not for your freedom, but for someone else's convenience. Part 8 is not about polishing that self. It's about retiring it. There are 2 yous living in your life right now. 1, the you inside your mind. Who knows what you feel, what you want, what you can see so clearly. 2, the you the world gets. Filtered, shrunk, agreeable. Trying not to cause waves. That gap between the inner you and the performing you is where control lives. Because as long as there is a gap, people can guilt you. People can confuse you. People can tell you who you are. And you will actually consider it. The goal of this episode is not to turn you into someone loud or aggressive. It's to shrink that gap, so that the person you are inside and the person you are outside finally match. Right now, without overthinking, finish this sentence in your head. I am the kind of person who dash. Whatever came up first is closer to your core script than any journal entry. Be brutally honest. Ruins good things. Is always too much. Gets hurt easily. Has to work twice as hard. This sentence is not just words. It is the operating system your brain uses to decide who you date, what you tolerate, how much money you think you deserve, whether you speak up or stay quiet. Manipulators don't need to monitor you. If they installed a sentence that does their job for them. So in part 8, we're going to overwrite that line of code. Before you rewrite your identity, you have to see what the old one cost you. Do this with me. While you watch, grab your notes and answer these 3 questions. 1. Because I believed I was dash. What did I allow that hurt me? Example. Because I believed I was hard to love. I stayed where I was tolerated, not cherished. 2. Because I believed I was dash. What did I never try? Example. Because I believed I was bad with people. I never built the friendships I needed. 3. Because I believed I was dash. How did I talk to myself when I failed? Example. Because I believed I always mess up. I treated every mistake like proof that I should give up. Look at your answers. You are not just changing your mindset. You are ending a contract that has cost you years of your life. Now, we build the new script. This is not about lying to yourself with cheesy affirmations. This is about choosing an identity that is true, powerful, useful, hard to control. Return to your old sentence. I am the kind of person who dash. We're going to flip it like this. 1. Keep the truth of your experience. 2. Remove the shame. 3. Add power and direction. Examples. Old. I am the kind of person who gets attached too fast. New. I am the kind of person who feels deeply. And I now choose people who can hold that depth. Old. I am the kind of person who ruins everything. New. I am the kind of person who has made painful mistakes. And I now repair, learn, and elevate from them. Old. I am the kind of person who is bad at boundaries. New. I am the kind of person who is learning boundaries and will no longer apologize for having them. You're not erasing your past. You're reclaiming authorship. Every unshakable identity has rules. Not for other people, but for you. Here are 5 uncontrollable rules you can adopt or adapt. Rule 1. I do not argue with anyone who attacks my character instead of addressing the facts. Rule 2. I do not chase explanations from people who are committed to misunderstanding me. Rule 3. I do not stay in places where my nervous system is constantly in fight or flight. Rule 4. I do not explain or defend The boundaries that protect my peace. Rule 5. I do not shrink my truth just to keep someone else's comfort intact. Say them slowly. Because these are not just rules. They are psychological armor. The more you repeat them, the less appealing you become to anyone who feeds on confusion and self-doubt. Here is the part most people underestimate. Once you truly shift identity, the room feels it. Before you say a word, you don't have to threaten to leave. Give speeches about your worth. Prove how much you've healed. The shift shows up in the way you pause. Instead of instantly apologizing. The way your eyes stay calm. When someone tries to guilt you. The way you say, no, that doesn't work for me. Without 3 paragraphs of explanation. Manipulators are scanners. They scan for who's easiest to guilt. Who's most desperate to be liked. Who's willing to abandon themselves to avoid tension. When your identity says, I don't abandon myself anymore, you stop lighting up their radar. You become boring to people who live on control. And that is the biggest compliment your nervous system will ever receive.
If you are still watching this, you are not casual about your life. You are not here just for interesting psychology. You are here because some part of you knows you were not born to be programmable. So here is your challenge. The moment you step into your uncontrollable era, first in the comments write the sentence and complete it honestly. Write like, my old identity script was ... fill up the dots. And my identity is ... You write it there sincerely. And second, then add one uncontrollable rule you are claiming today. Right. From now on, I do not ... fill up in your words. This is not just engagement. This is you telling your brain, your body and your future. The programmable version of me is retired. The self-authored version is now in charge. If you are ready to live at that level, hit subscribe right now. Turn on all notifications and don't miss the next part of this series, because from here on, we are moving to legend status. How to build connections with people whose presence heals your nervous system instead of hijacking it. How to become a person others feel safer and stronger around without sacrificing yourself. And how to use everything you have learned about dark psychology not just to protect your mind, but to upgrade your money, your relationships, and entire reality. You have survived their control. You have confronted your own. You have built a firewall, learned to read patterns, and today you chose a new identity. From this moment to the rest of your life, repeat this line whenever old programming calls you back. I am no longer a character in someone else's script. I am the author now. I am the author of my life now. Comment your old and new identity. Subscribe. And remember, the world cannot control the version of you that finally remembers who was holding the pen the whole time. Thank you. Yes, the pressure test, holding the frame. Immunity means nothing if it collapses under extreme pressure. The true test of your new architecture happens when the stakes are highest, when guilt, obligation, and fear are thrown at you all at once. Let us put your system to the test. This is how you maintain absolute, unshakable frame control when the world tries to break you. This is going to sound strange, but the same psychology they use to control you, you can use to rebuild your entire life. The same traits that made you stay in toxic cycles, second guess your worth, and play small can be flipped to make you walk away faster, choose better people, build habits that pull you forward instead of drag you back. This part is not about surviving dark psychology anymore. It's about hijacking the code, turning it around, and using it to design a life so aligned that your old reality starts to look like a bad dream. Stay with this till the end because you are going to walk out of this video with a 3-part blueprint to rewrite your relationships, your routines, and your story using the same human psychology that once worked against you.
Let's start with a truth most people never hear. Psychology is neutral. Dark psychology is not a different kind of mind. It's the same mind, used with a different intention. Fear can paralyze you or push you to prepare. Guilt can be used to trap you or to help you correct your course. Mirroring can make you trust the wrong person or help you build deep, safe connection with the right ones. The techniques didn't hurt you. The purpose behind them did. In part 9, you are going to become the person who finally uses psychology with one intention only: to build a life where your nervous system can breathe. In earlier parts, you saw how emotional anchoring was used to control you, attaching certain feelings to certain people, places, or messages. YouTube. Now you're going to flip it. Your first mission: re-anchor your environment. Ask yourself, what in my daily life is quietly anchoring me to my old identity? Look around. The room where you stayed up all night, begging someone not to leave. The playlist you always used when you were crying at 2 a.m. The chat threads you scroll when you feel lonely, even though they poison your peace. These are not just memories. They are anchors. So you start making surgical changes. Change the music you fall asleep to. Rearrange the room where you felt the most powerless. Archive or mute conversations that drag you back into old versions of you. You are sending a clear signal to your brain. This environment now belongs to a different person. The one I chose in part 8. The second place dark psychology was used against you is in your habit loops. You were trained, for years, to respond automatically. Feel lonely, text the wrong person. Feel stressed, doom scroll. Feel not enough, overwork, overgive, overexplain. That's just a loop. Trigger behavior, temporary relief, deeper regret. Instead of trying to break every bad habit with sheer willpower, you're going to hijack the loop. Pick one habit that is draining you. Example: you always check your phone in bed until 2 a.m. scrolling old chats and reels that leave you feeling empty. Now design a replacement that still gives your brain a hit of stimulation, but moves you forward. Same trigger, you feel lonely at night. New behavior: you plug in your phone across the room. Put on one specific audio, podcast, binaural, or your own affirmations. And write 3 lines in a future self journal. Make it easy. Make it repeatable. You're not fighting your psychology. You're redirecting it. The trick manipulators used was repetition. You're going to use the same thing For your own benefit. Here comes the part that will quietly change everything. Your people palette. In dark dynamics, you were surrounded by people who fed on doubt, chaos, and low self-worth. Your brain began to confuse adrenaline with love. Part 9 is where you start choosing people like you would choose food for your body. Ask yourself, after I spend time with this person, do I feel more regulated or more anxious? Do I feel more like myself or less like myself? Do my standards rise or drop? You're not looking for perfect humans. You're looking for compatible nervous systems. People whose default settings are consistency over chaos, respect over performance, curiosity over control. Start small. Spend 10 more minutes with the person who makes you feel calm. Spend 10 fewer minutes with the person who drains you. Over time, your entire social circle shifts. Not with a big dramatic cut-off montage, but with hundreds of small adjustments that all say the same thing. I refuse to normalize relationships that feel like warfare. Now we're going to use the most powerful hook in psychology. Identity aspiration. Who you secretly want to become. Plainable +1. You've already chosen a new identity in Part 8. Now you're going to anchor it into your daily life. Visualize a version of you 1 year from now who has lived everything you're learning in this series. They don't chase confusion. They don't explain their worth. They move with calm, not desperation. Write one simple description. 1 year from now, I am the kind of person who Example. Moves slowly with red flags. And quickly with self-respect. Works on things that matter more than I work on being liked. Now choose one physical anchor for that version of you. A specific wallpaper on your phone. A ring, bracelet, or necklace. A sentence as your lock screen. Every time you see or touch it, you ask, what would that version of me do next in this moment? Then you move one step closer to their answer. That is how identity stops being an idea and becomes the operating system. There is one massive difference between the old you and the version you're building now. The old you went through pain and only got scars. The new you goes through pain and gets data. From now on, whenever something hurts, instead of just asking, why is this happening to me? You add another question. What is this teaching me about my patterns, my choices, and my standards? Example. You feel drained after a call. Data, I override my discomfort to avoid short-term conflict. You're exhausted at work. Data, I say yes by default instead of pausing to check capacity. You're heartbroken again. Data, my attraction system is calibrated to intensity, not consistency. Pain stops being a verdict and becomes a report. You don't blame yourself. You brief yourself. That shift alone can save you years. When you start living like this, something strange happens. Manipulators get bored of you. Why? Because you don't over-explain. You don't chase. You don't rise to every bait. There's no chaos to feed on. At the same time, the right people start noticing you more. You become magnetic. Not by performing, but by being predictable in your integrity. Your yes means yes. Your no means no. Your silence means you're thinking. Not stewing in secret rage. Dark psychology creators talk about hooks and retention. Because the algorithm rewards strong emotional pulls. Your life has an algorithm too. When you repeatedly choose calm over chaos, truth over performance, long-term over short-term validation, your entire reality starts recommending you better people, better opportunities, better versions of yourself.
If this part made you feel both exposed and hopeful, that is not an accident. It means your mind is finally ready to stop using psychology only to understand your past and start using it to architect your future. Here is your challenge to make this real. First, in the comments, complete this sentence. You write it as I used to say, you say black ink pen on a white paper. The old loop I am retiring is ... And the new loop I am installing is ... You fill up the dots. I shall give you an example. The old loop I am retiring is feeling lonely, texting chaos. And the new loop I am installing is feeling lonely, giving myself care and reaching out to save people. And second, add one more line. 1 year from now, I am the kind of person who ... that you have to fill. Write it like a promise. If you are serious about turning this series from interesting psychology into a new life, hit subscribe, turn on all notifications and don't miss the next part. Because in the coming episode, we are going to connect everything. How to align your money, work and relationships with your new identity. How to use psychological triggers ethically to sell, negotiate and influence without betraying your values. How to become the kind of person who doesn't just escape manipulation, but quietly builds a reality that makes the old one impossible to return to. You have seen how they wrote your story. You have seen how you rewrote yourself. This part is your reminder that psychology was never the enemy. It is a pen. Psychology is a pen. And from this moment on, you decide what your next chapter is going to sound like. Now the pinnacle, architect of reality. We have reached the final stage. The scripts are uninstalled. The firewall is impenetrable. The manipulators are neutralized. You no longer just defend your reality. You are now the sole architect of it. In this final module, we look in your new identity. This is how you step into your true power. I have spent this entire series learning how they controlled you, how you controlled yourself, how to build firewalls, read patterns, and rewrite your identity. This part is different. This is the moment your mind stops being something that gets used and becomes the sharpest weapon you carry into every room. Not to hurt people, not to play games, but to protect your peace, multiply your opportunities, and bend your reality towards the life you were supposed to live before they ever touched your psychology. If you stay until the end of this video, you will walk away with a 3-layer mental protocol you can run in any situation. So you never again ask, what just happened to me? Instead, you will say, I know exactly what this is, and I know exactly what to do next.
Right now, you are living 3 lives. At the same time. 1. The life you're actually living. 2. The life your nervous system is afraid of. 3. The life your future self is begging you to claim. Your problem so far is that you've been loyal to the wrong one. You've stayed loyal to your fear. You've stayed loyal to your trauma. You've stayed loyal to old stories that kept you easy to control. In part 10, you are going to shift that loyalty. From this point forward, your loyalty belongs to your future self. Even when your present self is shaking. And that shift is exactly what makes your mind dangerous to anyone who tries to own it. From now on, you do not make major decisions from your current mood. You make them through the filter of your future identity. Here is your first protocol. The future self-check. Anytime you feel pulled, pressured, or cornered, you silently ask, if the version of me 1 year from now was standing in this room, what would they do for me right now? 1 year from now, you are calmer, clearer, less available for chaos, more available for alignment. So how would they handle the ex that suddenly misses you? The boss that dumps last-minute work on your weekend? The friend who only calls when they need saving? Would that future you beg? Over-explain? Ignore their own exhaustion? No. They would take a breath. Make a choice that protects their peace. Refuse to trade long-term self-respect for short-term comfort. Your job in the present is not to feel ready. It's to act in the direction of the person you said you want to become. Every time you apply the future self-check, you are making a tiny, quiet, but extremely dangerous statement. I am more loyal to who I'm becoming than to who I've been trained to be. The second layer of your mental weapon is something almost nobody does. It is called the power placement question. In any interaction, you stop and ask, where is the power? Right now? Not where it should be. Where it actually is. Is the power with the person who keeps everything mysterious while you overshare? Is the power with the person who demands instant replies while taking days to respond to you? Is the power with the person who can hurt you with silence while you panic and chase? This is not about ego. It is about leverage. Because whoever is less afraid of losing controls the negotiation. Your mind becomes a weapon. When you stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, who has the power here? And am I voluntarily giving mine away? If the answer is yes, you don't need to start a war. You simply begin to pull your energy back. Fewer explanations. Fewer justifications. Slower replies. Clearer boundaries. You will feel the panic at first. Because your old self believes power equals danger. But your future self knows power equals options. And people who have options are very hard to control. The third layer is the most surgical. It's where you separate what actually happened from the story your trauma is telling about it. This is where your mind stops being a sponge and starts being a scalpel. Something happens. They don't reply. They cancel. They use a harsh tone. Your old programming rushes in with a story. I'm not important. I did something wrong. This always happens to me. From now on, you run a split reality. They didn't reply to my message today. Story. No one ever stays. I'm obviously not worth prioritizing. Reality is neutral. Story is loaded. Your mind becomes a weapon. When you can say, I am allowed to feel this pain, but I refuse to treat my pain as objective truth. Instead, you ask, what are 3 other possible explanations for this behavior that are not automatic self-blame? They're overwhelmed. They're careless. They're not capable of the depth I want. Now your mind is not a victim factory. It's a pattern analyzer. The point is not to excuse them. The point is to stop dragging your own value into every unanswered message. You might be scared hearing the word weapon, because you've seen what happens when people discover psychology and then use it to manipulate harder. But your goal is the opposite. Your mind is not a sword to stab others with. It is a shield to protect your peace, your time, your future. So here's your silent code. I will never again use psychology to control someone into staying. I will only use it to keep myself from staying where I do not belong. When you commit to that, your intelligence stops being dangerous to the world and starts being dangerous only to your old patterns. Part 10 is the perfect time to make a contract with yourself. Not a vision board. A contract. Title it, No More Discounted Me. Then write these 3 lines. 1. I will not discount my standards just because someone is temporarily convenient. 2. I will not discount my feelings just because someone calls them too much or crazy. 3. I will not discount my future just to protect someone else from facing their present. Sign it. Date it. Put it where you can see it daily. Because every time you read it, you are reminding your mind. We are done offering Black Friday deals on our dignity. When your mind starts operating like this, you will notice subtle but radical shifts. Your messages get shorter, clearer, calmer. Your tolerance for half-truths and constant confusion quietly disappears. Your interest in performing for people who don't even see you shrinks to almost zero. At first, you'll fear losing people. But what you actually lose are the dynamics that were built on you being foggy, confused, and guilt-driven. In their place, something rare appears. People who are drawn to clarity, not chaos. People who respect your pauses, your no, your need for time. People who are not shocked by your boundaries because they have their own.
If you are still watching this part 14, you are not a casual viewer. You are someone who is truly tired of having a genius level brain that has been used for years against you. So here is your challenge. First, in the comments, write this and complete it. From today, my mind is a weapon that protects ... You fill that dots. Fill it with what matters most. Your peace, your future, your inner child, your dreams, anything. Second, then write one line of your no more discounted me contract that hit you the hardest. This is not just a comment farming. This is you installing new code through language and action. If you are ready for the next level, where this series stops being just about protection and starts becoming about creation, hit subscribe right now. Turn on all notifications and don't miss part 15. Because next, you are going to learn how to use everything you have mastered, not only to survive manipulation, not only to build boundaries, but to design, work, love, and daily routines so psychologically aligned that manipulation simply has nowhere to live. You have spent 14 parts taking your mind back. From this moment on, you are no longer the person who wonders, why do they keep doing this to me? You are the person who calmly says, I see the pattern, I have the tools, and now I choose me. Master of the domain. The invisible script is broken. The architecture of control that once kept you confined has been dismantled. And in its place, you have built a fortress. Remember the 5 levels of your firewall. Trust your body's alarms, demand your 10-second pause, verify your reality, enforce your boundaries, and lock in your new identity. You are no longer a participant in someone else's game. You are the architect of your own success. This structure takes you on a perfect psychological journey. That is, from awareness earlier to analysis, and then to defense, then to counteroffense, and to mastery. For better optimum results, please see the full video repeatedly. Take notes, redo the tricks and tactics until you are satisfied. And practice. Remember, everything happens twice. First in mind, that is in your mind, then in reality, that is in your reality. Life is only once. Live it in style, please. I am Dr. New York. Your new reality begins now. Wait for the next part.